The summer of 2024 in Willow Lake, Virginia, was supposed to be my season of peace. I'd spent 3 months transforming my late grandfather's crumbling dock into a masterpiece: thick benches for sunset gazing, soft blue LED lights shimmering underwater, and slip-resistant planks that gleamed under the morning dew. I'm Ethan Hayes, and I thought my neighbors would love the upgrade. Instead, it turned me into the neighborhood's most wanted. My dock, built on my own land, was drawing folks away from the Homeowners Association's lackluster pavilion. That's when Margaret Ellison, the HOA's iron-fisted president, decided to obliterate my creation without so much as a warning. She had no clue I'd find a way to flip the script and turn her precious lake into my chessboard. That July morning, I stepped onto my porch, coffee in hand, ready to soak in the view from the dock I'd poured my heart into. Willow Lake's sunrise was a painting pinks and oranges dancing on the water. But as my eyes drifted to the shore, my stomach dropped. My dock was gone, reduced to splintered wood bobbing like wreckage after a storm. The LED lights I'd wired so carefully dangled lifelessly in the muck. Margaret stood on the bank, smug as a queen, waving a piece of paper she called an emergency decree. Beside her, Harold Vance, the HOA's treasurer, nodded like a puppet. 2 workers revved chainsaws, slicing through the last support beams with brutal precision. Sawdust clouded the air, and the roar of their tools drowned out the lake's usual calm. I stood there in my sweatpants, watching months of work turn to driftwood. Neighbors gathered, drawn by the chaos. Old Mrs. Evelyn Carter, who lived a few houses down, clutched her cardigan, shaking her head. The packers from across the cove wandered over, jaws slack. Even the reclusive Thompsons peered from their deck, coffee mugs forgotten. Margaret reveled in the spotlight, her faded blazer flapping as she lectured about safety hazards and unauthorized builds. Her decree? Just a scribbled note on printer paper, but she brandished it like a court order. As HOA president, I have the right to remove dangerous structures, she declared, her voice carrying over the crowd. Harold bobbed his head, though I doubted he knew the law any better than my dog did. I marched to the water's edge, fury burning in my chest. Margaret, where's your demolition permit? I asked, forcing my voice to stay even. She laughed, flapping her paper. I don't need one for a clear danger, she said, as if she'd memorized some legal loophole. This dog broke safety codes and caused disturbances. The hypocrisy was rich. Margaret had a hot tub on her deck, installed without a whisper to the HOA. I pulled out my phone, where I'd saved every permit and blueprint. Show me the codes, I challenged. Her smirk wavered, but she snapped, they're in the HOA handbook you never read. Translation: people were enjoying my dock instead of her sad potlucks, and that was her real crime. When the workers finished, leaving nothing but wreckage, I dialed the sheriff. Margaret's laugh grew shrill. Call them. They'll thank me for preventing a lawsuit. As the last of my grandfather's legacy floated away, I knew this wasn't about a dock anymore. This was war. I called my old friend Liam Carter, a property lawyer who'd grown up fishing with me on this lake. He was at my cabin in 20 minutes, briefcase in hand, his face grim as he surveyed the debris. Ethan, this is criminal, he said, snapping photos. Margaret can't touch private property without 30 days notice and due process. Her decree is worthless. He showed me state laws on his phone, proving the HOA's limits. She's facing civil and criminal charges. It felt good to hear, but I needed to know why she'd gone this far. I turned to Mrs. Evelyn, the neighborhood's unofficial historian. Over her rose bushes, she spilled the tea. Margaret's been unhinged lately, she said, brushing dirt from her gloves. She measured my lawn last week, claiming it was too long. I've mowed this yard for 40 years. Others chimed in. The packers got fined for a wrong shade of mailbox paint. The lanes were threatened for planting unapproved tulips. The real kicker. Mrs. Evelyn revealed Margaret's monthly HOA meetings were ghost towns because everyone was at my dock, watching sunsets. My creation hadn't just bruised her ego, it had made her irrelevant. Margaret wasn't done. She stormed up to Mrs. Evelyn's garden, clipboard in hand, claiming our quiet chat was a noise violation. Mrs. Evelyn didn't blink. Margaret, if my talking bothers you, maybe try a convent. Liam stepped in, his lawyer voice smooth. Margaret, you might want legal advice before you keep this up. Today's stunt could land you in court. Her confidence flickered, but I wasn't waiting for her next move. In my workshop, I carved a sign, Hayes Family Dog, Est. 1975, I planted it in the mud where my dog once stood, a middle finger to her tyranny. Then Mrs. Evelyn dropped a bomb. She's been meeting with shady guys lately. I think she's planning something big. That afternoon, I turned Margaret's spectacle into my own. I texted a few neighbors, and word spread like wildfire. By dusk, my shoreline was a festival: folding chairs, coolers, kids running wild. Over 30 families showed up, sharing stories of Margaret's overreach. The Lynns got fined for early Christmas lights. The Wilsons were hassled for unapproved roses. But fear crept in when Tim Parker, nervous, stood up. Ethan, I'm sorry about your dog, but Margaret's threatening to audit our properties. We just refinanced. We can't afford fines. Silence fell. Her intimidation was working. Then my phone buzzed with a video link. Margaret, standing by my dog's wreckage, claimed it was a drowning risk built with substandard materials. The lies were bold, racking up likes from clueless outsiders. Rage shook me. I almost gave up, ready to pay her fines and rebuild elsewhere. But my neighbors' faces, real people who'd shown up, stopped me. I opened my phone's live stream. I'm Ethan Hayes, and this is what happens when you improve your community, and an HOA tyrant sees you as a threat. I panned to the debris, then the crowd, defiance rising. Right on cue, Margaret and Harold charged in, her clipboard waving like a battle flag. This gathering violates noise ordinances, she bellowed. Disperse or face fines. Harold zeroed in on Tim Parker, smirking. Tim, your shared setbacks look off. We might need a survey. The threat was clear, back Ethan, and we'll ruin you. But Mrs. Evelyn stood, her voice like steel. I've seen bullies come and go, but you two are the saddest yet, threatening families for a picnic. The crowd shifted. Chairs stayed put. Kids laughed again. Tim faced Harold. Order the survey. I'll pay to prove you're wrong. Margaret's face reddened as her plan crumbled. Fine, she screamed. This lake's about to change, and you can't stop it. Her cryptic threat gnawed at me. The next morning, Liam and I tailed her to a diner 15 minutes away. Through the window, we saw her with a suit, paper spread out, maps, charts, serious business. We grabbed a nearby table, catching snippets. The suit was from Riverside Ventures, pitching a deal to lease the HOA's waterfront rights. They'd remove private docks, build a pay-to-use facility, and charge homeowners for lake access. Margaret would get $2,500 a month to enforce it. My dock's demolition was no tantrum, it was a power play to clear the way. The private docks are the problem, the suit said. Your demolition sent the right message. Margaret beamed, promising to bully other owners into compliance. Liam and I drove back, stunned. This was fraud. She couldn't lease community rights. But court battles would take years, and she'd keep terrorizing everyone. Then it hit me, control the lake itself. Willow Lake relied on the Grayson Dam, built in 1962 by a defunct lumber company. Its water rights were up for auction in 5 days. If I owned the dam, Margaret's scheme was dead. No water, no paywall. The catch. Riverside Ventures was bidding, too. I could only raise $150,000, far short of what a developer might spend. Desperate, I refinanced my Kabimi grandfather's legacy worth $220,000. The risk was insane. If I failed, I'd lose everything. My old roommate, Nate Lynn, showed up, begging me to reconsider. You're betting your home on a dam. There's got to be another way. But I showed him Margaret's video, her lies spreading. She won't stop, Nate. Someone has to outmuscle her, and that's me. Friday, I signed the loan papers, heart pounding. Saturday's auction was packed suits with briefcases, me in khakis, feeling like an underdog. The dam rights came up, starting at $130,000. I traded bids with a Riverside rep, each raise tightening my chest. At $190,000, he hesitated, then folded. The gavel slammed. For $190,000, I owned the dam. I could drain the lake at will. Monday, Margaret rolled in with bulldozers, a crane, and a news crew, ready to crush my temporary dock and cement her victory. Neighbors lined the shore, phones out, sensing a showdown. She strutted like a general, blabbing about safety in her best blazer. I strolled to the water, envelope in hand. Margaret, read this before you wreck anything else. She snatched it, scanning the dam ownership certificate. Confusion hit, then panic. What's this? She stammered. I own the dam, I said, loud and clear. I control this lake's water. All of it. I called the dam operator, Jim, on speaker. Jim, cut the outflow by 50%. On it, he replied. Within 30 minutes, the lake shrank, exposing mud and stranding boats, Margaret included. Her media crew captured her meltdown. This is illegal, she shrieked, dialing Riverside. Her contact's voice boomed through her phone. How did you miss the water rights? Our deal's dead. Neighbors cheered as her empire collapsed. Please, she begged, voice breaking. Turn the water back on. I'll quit the HOA, cancel the fines. I looked at the crowd, their smiles saying enough. Jim, restore the flow. Margaret slumped against a bulldozer, defeated. 6 months later, Willow Lake was ours again. A new HOA board focused on community, not control. I built a grander dock open to all, no permits needed. Mrs. Evelyn threw a barbecue there, toasting, to Ethan, who showed us how to beat a bully by owning what they crave. As the sun set, the water glowed with my new LEDs, a tribute to my grandfather's dream. I'm no fighter, but mess with my memories, and I'll dry up your world. Now, tell me, have you ever faced an HOA tyrant like Margaret? Would you risk everything to fight back, or play it safe? Should Ethan have drained the lake to make his point, or was there a less drastic way? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more stories where the little guy fights back.